Hi, I'm Matt Saint Singh, and this is the DAV podcast. Today, we bring to our listeners two inspiring stories within a single event, the 36th Annual National Disabled Veteran Winter Sports Clinic. It was my first time making the trip out to beautiful Snowmass, Colorado, and let me tell you, it did not disappoint. More than 140 participants, about half of whom were wheelchair-bound, took part in adaptive skiing, snowboarding, curling, snowmobiling, sled hockey, and even fly fishing. The environment was absolutely electric, with dozens of disabled veterans lauding the event as life-changing. I spoke with two participants about their service, injuries, and experience at this moving event. Later in the episode, you'll hear from Ryan Garza, a combat-disabled Marine Corps veteran who served in Afghanistan, and a first-timer at the clinic. But first, I sat down with Gail Jane Allison, a returning participant and Army and Coast Guard veteran, on her experience. I want to get into your service, your injuries, and your participation in the Winter Sports Clinic, but I have to ask about that bejeweled chair you have on right now. I have never seen anything like that. Tell me about this, please.
I was stuck in, having to be in a wheelchair, and I'm like, this is so, not, what do you do with it? So I decided to jewel it. I did the first one, I had it in black and clear. Jewels, and then this one I decided to do a theme because I love Day of the Dead Skulls.
Okay,
and
I see that.
Yeah, and that's the actual theme for the chair.
Okay.
Is the print on it, but you can't see it, so I made it bigger that you can see it. And then this side is my superhero side.
Okay.
This is
the left side.
Yeah, it says superhero on board, and it's got a woman with a cape. And I've got the one-legged Wonder Woman here.
Oh, one-legged Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Such as yourself.
And I bought my teddy bear on back, and I made her a one-legged Wonder Woman.
I saw that too, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I made her own shrink sock. And
certainly have quite a personality in your chair, for sure. I understand you served in both the Army and Coast Guard.
Yes.
What can you tell me about your service?
In the Army, I started out in the National Guard, and I just couldn't imagine being a civilian again and just doing this part-time. The only one accepting someone with my amount of service was the Coast Guard.
Okay, what'd you do in the Coast Guard?
I did law enforcement. I was a boarding team member.
Oh, wow.
And then I started to go to school for damage control, which is like the Jane of all trades.
The Jane of all trades.
Yes.
And you first came here to the Winter Sports Clinic 6 years ago, I believe, in 2016.
Yes.
And you participated because you have multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
And can you tell me what living with MS is like, and how was your first time being at the clinic?
Well, I've had MS for approximately 15 years now. And at first it was relapsing remitting. So you only have, sometimes the symptoms are only alive for a certain period of time. It could be a day, it could be a month, could be a week. You never know. And then it goes away. And sometimes you have a little residual. Like I had trouble lifting my foot, all the time. But it wasn't bad. But now I have progressive. And when they said that I had progressive, I think that's the first time I wanted to get into the sports clinic and try it and see what was out there, because I couldn't believe we could ski.
Yeah, how was that experience like, skiing your first time at the clinic?
I was terrified the first time. They had to keep reminding me to breathe because I'd hold my breath. And it helped me at the time for the progressive diagnosis, but then afterwards, as I was telling you before, I had problems with my hip, and then my bones were broken and they wouldn't heal, so I had to have an amputation.
Yeah, so the difference between the first time in clinic is now you're coming to the clinic as an amputee.
Now I'm confined to the wheelchair. So
what are the differences between the experience of going to the clinic in a permanent wheelchair as opposed to when you were here last time?
That's kind of why I forced myself to come this time.
Yeah.
Because I'm struggling because I was like, okay, amputation, I'm upset, but I see vets with amputations all the time. I can still go and do whatever I want. I was like getting ready to stand and worry about the prosthetic, and then I ended up with an infection on the skin that went to my hip joint, So the hip was removed. So now I'm no longer eligible for a prosthetic. So because there's nothing there to support it.
What have you been able to do this clinic this time around? What are some of your favorite events that you've done so far?
I think just the skiing is just it's a learning curve for me because my balance is different, even from the amputation to then. It was the amputation 2 years ago. Then a year ago, I had the hip removed. So there's a lot of difference for that, and I think it's a lot more emotional and mental for me. And I got real emotional at the opening ceremony when they were talking about the rehabilitation and learning sports and getting stronger.
Tomorrow and during the week, this bond will grow as you enjoy and maybe even struggle with the challenges this event presents. For many of you, it may be a test of strength and endurance, both physically and mentally. That's okay. That's the point. You discover you are stronger and you'll find ways to overcome challenges. It's about teamwork too. And if you work together, just like the unit that cares for each other and depends on each other, you all make progress and be successful together.
It's the rehabilitation of the spirit, of your mind, and reconditioning. Sorry.
No worries.
And it's going, oh, I can still do this. I still have a reason to go on.
Absolutely.
And it's not over.
It's not over. You're right. And I think you're out here proving that, and so many 140 other veterans are out here proving that every day.
There are some with that I've been able to meet that have more severe disabilities than I do, and they're out here with this great mindset, and I'm like, I need to adopt that for myself. It's really refreshing and inspiring to me to meet these people that say, I traveled when I was able-bodied, I'm going to do it now. Why should I let this stop me? I just have to do it differently.
That's what this week's all about. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the clinic?
Just being the camaraderie. It's been, when I came here in 2016, I was very nervous. So I've made it my point this time to reach out to others, and to say, hey, come on with us.
It really sounds like you're connecting with the other participants here a lot.
Yes, I think that's the whole purpose. When they say rehabilitation, yeah, people are learning a new sport, but it's also socializing is part of that rehabilitation. And I mean, I remember somebody saying, hey, I didn't see you at lunch, and they said, oh, I had to do bowel care. Oh, okay. It's like we all understand each other.
Yeah.
It's like you say bowel care in any other
context,
personal situation, or to another, to a civilian they're not going to understand what that means. When I was here in 2016, there was a gentleman with no arms, no legs, and he was skiing.
Yeah.
In an exoskeleton.
Wow. You're going skiing later today.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I have to do my hula dance.
Okay.
Because you have to keep your shoulders back, and you have to only slightly move your hands.
There you go.
So we said it was a hula dance. It's not about being a perfect skier or how many times you fall down or how many times you get up, and it's about getting out there and saying, I'm not comfortable with this, but I'm going to try it. I mean, how many of us were in those situations in the military?
Absolutely, yeah.
Where it's like, even just in basic training, going to the gas chamber, it's like you go in, you're going to end up puking and start running down your face, but you go and you do it. And you know what? You learn that it wasn't as bad as you thought.
There you go. And maybe even a little fun out here for some people. Maybe not the gas chamber, but out here. Yeah.
This is a much better thing.
Absolutely. Well, Gail Jane, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Gail Jane looks forward to coming to future winter sports clinics and to get more involved with adaptive sports. But what about the perspective of a first-time participant? For that, I spoke to Ryan Garza, an amputee and Marine veteran of the Afghanistan War. Our conversation begins with Ryan explaining how he came to deploy 4 times to the war-torn country.
I did the first tour and I really wanted to stay, so I did the second tour.
And 2 back-to-back?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then of course after that much time you're dying to go home. And then when I went home, I realized, I didn't really realize that. I just thought the world was different. I didn't really know that something was going on, and I was triggered a lot, and I was drinking even more than before, which everyone would think was impossible. And so I just wanted to go back. My original unit that I went out with the first time, they were like, hey, you don't have to go if you don't want to, because I still had more of a break. And they're like, but would you want to come back out with us? And I was just like, yeah. And so I went back out for my third tour, and I already knew what it was like going back home, so I stayed for a fourth tour.
So you extended twice?
Yeah. The second back-to-back, it was only 10 months because I had gotten blown up.
Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about your injury. You're a right leg amputee?
Correct, below the knee.
Tell me about that day.
It was kind of a chain of events that was kind of crazy because the mission before that, I had gotten blown up, and then we're going to get back to the motor pool. My first sergeant was like, hey, to talk to you when you're done working. And I thought for sure he was going to just see how I was doing and stuff like that. And because I had already been there for a little bit, you know, it was my fourth tour. And then, I get back to work not thinking anything of it. And then my sergeant called me over and said, hey, the wizard needs to talk to you. And that means to go see the priest or the chaplain because someone close to you is dead.
Oh, man.
And I found out that I had, that my Uncle Ted had taken his life. And we were close. And so it messed me up, and they knew I had been there for a while, so they kind of said that I could take a break, and I didn't, not even go on the next mission, but I didn't really plan on it, but I had this guilt trip, and I was just like, if anything happened to any of my Marines, I would never forgive myself. And so I was like, yeah, I want to go on it, and so I went, and sure enough, that was the one that I got hit. And
wow. What a day.
Yeah.
Learn about your uncle's suicide and then get gravely injured.
Yeah. It was definitely the most painful thing I've ever felt in my entire life. And it took a very long time for them to get to us. I think we were in the red zone, or I don't remember if we were getting ambushed. I don't remember what was going on, but it just took forever for them to get to us. And I remember since it blew up directly under me, I was kind of sideways. I was in the passenger seat.
Okay.
And my driver had only gotten a concussion. And at the time I was real big. I had, I was working out a lot and, all that. And so they were like, when the people came, or the other Marines came to come get me, they're like, hey, we're going to need you to pull yourself out, man. You're heavy and stuff like that. So I grabbed the steering wheel and I'm like pulling myself. And I just remember saying, please, God, don't drop me. Please don't drop me.
What kind of vehicle was this?
7-ton.
Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
so big truck.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I always told everybody, if you get blown up in a truck, do it in a 7-ton because it's a beast and it's very hard to get injured in the 7-ton. Yeah, I've been blown up in other trucks before, and I was like, 7-ton's a beast. And of course, that's the one that got me.
While wounding his right leg proved to be a lingering physical and mental health concern, his recovery back in the U.S. was certainly daunting.
Since I was in pain all the time and I was in a hospital, and people get triggered left and right. You're around 20, 30 Marines, and they're bound for people to start talking about certain things. So then you get all these, and so it was a constant. We were just very bad alcoholics, and we drank like crazy, and so we were fighting a lot, and I think at the time in our heads it was just like, oh, this is a party, but we didn't really know how bad we were really affected until we went home. And I was there for 13 months in the hospital at Portsmouth, Virginia, at a naval base. And when I got home, that's when things got real.
PTSD and transitioning from battle-hardened Marine to disabled veteran took hold.
I might have had nightmares and stuff like that in the hospital. I don't really remember too much, But when I got home, it was night terrors, it was nightmares, it was like, and I had multiple brain injuries, and so my tinnitus was insane. So like everything I said was either what or huh or what was I saying or something like that. So it just got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to stay quiet, and I isolated and just drank myself almost to death.
But those days didn't last forever, thankfully. While the attack in Afghanistan did not initially claim his leg, his introduction to adaptive mountain climbing set him on a path to amputation.
And I had actually kept my leg, and I got asked to do an event where we would go to Machu Picchu and then climb through the Andes.
In Peru. Cool.
Yeah, in Peru. Yeah, and I thought, I was like, are you stupid? Like, there's no way I could do that. And they were like, well, there are these things called side sticks. And you know, that kind of like the crutches that go around your forearm and stuff, but they're meant for mountaineering and stuff. And they're like, and I've always had upper body strength, so they're like, you could use mostly your upper body. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll give it a shot. And we're the first to the top of the mountain.
Wow.
And it was a little over 18,000 feet.
That had to feel good.
Oh my God. It was the best feeling in the world, because I was like, I did it.
It was after climbing down Machu Picchu that he and his doctors made the decision to amputate part of his right leg below the knee. That procedure helped to clear the way to coming to the Winter Sports Clinic.
I was anxious about it. I got hit October 3rd, 2011, and I didn't get it amputated till February of 2015. Because I tried to suck it up for as long as I could, but they let me pick the day that I got it amputated, and so I got it cut off on Friday the 13th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I asked the doc, I was like, hey, when you amputate my leg, can y'all like copper that thing so I can make it into a lamp, like a Christmas story?
There you go, yeah.
And he said no, because it's illegal.
Like
so.
the fragile, yeah.
But I tried.
So what was your initial injury then?
I had broken 8 bones, dislocated 13, and shattered my foot and ankle into like powder.
Okay, jeez.
Yeah, and so I had a bunch of screws and pins or whatever. I don't really remember, but.
And then you climbed Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
And then you got it amputated.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So, I mean, we're here in a mountain at the Winter Sports Clinic, 36th Annual National Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic. What do you think so far out here?
I absolutely love it. I'm a beginner, so I was falling a million times, and I'm so glad to be past that phase, because now I'm actually enjoying it, and everyone's been great. Instructors are great. My team leader Jesse's been amazing, and it's just been an excellent experience.
What's been your favorite event out here so far?
Snowboarding.
You just got done snowboarding, right?
Yeah.
Can I ask, how does that work with your amputation?
I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas, so I never did winter sports.
Yeah.
So this was my first time learning, so I guess I didn't know any better.
I gotcha.
But it was definitely very difficult, because I didn't realize how much it slides and stuff like that. So I just had to like realize how to put my leg in certain ways, and then whenever I go back to go on toe side, you know, I know exactly the feeling of lifting up my knee just enough to where it'll turn me around to go on my toe side.
Yeah. How many runs do you do?
Oh, a lot. Yeah, over 50.
Wow.
Because like even today, we were just doing this small one, so we were doing a run like every 10 to 15 minutes, but we definitely did a whole lot of them. But I had always wanted to snowboard, but I was kind of discouraged because of my leg.
Sure.
So that's why I tried the ski bike, but after that I was like, I'm gonna learn how to snowboard.
Yeah. So what was it like learning to snowboard?
It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I punched the mountain.
You know, I've heard that a lot out here. People say that, you know, they fell a lot, but I was down at the bottom when a guy made his first run without falling down, and it was just like super psyched, man.
Oh, it's the greatest feeling ever. And that's why like snowboarders, they deserve that. Awesome, or they deserve to have the most fun in the world, because if you could get past that first phase of falling a million times, then you just deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. It's frustrating, especially because I had no idea it was like that at all, and it's really a mental thing, because you know, you're having to lean forward when your natural instinct, if you're going downhill, you want to lean backwards. So you kind of have to focus a lot, and then once you get that down, it's just a nice smooth thing. It's great.
What advice do you have for any other veterans out there who maybe, you know, have heard about this Winter Sports Clinic and maybe on the fence of going?
To try, because events like this was just the beginning of the rest of my life, because that's what I've been isolating so much, and all these things that I've wanted to do in life, I always thought I couldn't because of my leg. And the fact that I went out and tried and I realized that I could do it, that just gave me hope, and that gave me a reason to do another event and then another, and then you start meeting other people, and then you get these resources, and there's nothing better than finding other things that you love to do and know that there's people out there that want to take care of you and let you do it.
The annual Winter Sports Clinic is always co-hosted by our gracious partners, the Department of Veterans Affairs. And we were lucky enough to have VA Secretary Dennis McDonough at this event's closing ceremonies, where he applauded the strength he saw on display that week.
You inspire me. The truth is, you inspire us all. There's simply no group of people who know better than you what it means to serve. And when veteran athletes engage in adaptive sports, you send a powerful message to spectators, sponsors, therapists, doctors, and other veterans. In fact, to every American. That message is about the perseverance of veterans and the endurance of the human spirit and the strength of Americans, and therefore all of America, this wonderful country. Truly, you inspire us all. And right now, that is the kind of inspiration our country and the world can use more of.
That's it for this episode of the DAV podcast. Thanks to Ryan Garza, Gail Jane Allison, and all of the participants who came out to Snowmass this year. Be sure to look out for the Winter Sports Clinic article in the July-August edition of DAV Magazine, which is free to all DAV members, by the way. And again, DAV could not have pulled off the successful event without the Department of Veterans Affairs. We thank them dearly. And it's not too late to start thinking of the 37th Annual National Disabled Winter Sports Clinic in 2023. Be sure to check out wintersportsclinic.org to see all of the excellent coverage from DAV and VA. That's wintersportsclinic.org. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe to the DAV podcast so you never miss an episode. I'm Matt Saintsing. Until next time.